So welcome to part 2 of my video, and in this video we are going to be building the foundations of my house from a single vertex. And I will also advise you we are going to be making mistakes in this video series, and I'm going to be showing you how to identify where those mistakes came from and how to fix them. So let's get into Blender and let's start extruding some vertices. So we are now reduced to our most basic form, which is a single vertex. And a vertex is the building block from which every single 3D object is made. So what we're going to do is we are going to be making a plan of the foundations for my house in this video. And what we're going to do is select the vertex. So if it's not selected, it is white. If it is selected, we will just select it like so. Make sure this tool in the top left corner is selected. This is called the select box. And what we're going to do is extrude along the x-axis. So you can use this item here and you can select and drag, and you haven't got too much precision. So press the letter X, and now it is locked along the x-axis. So an easier way to extrude is to select the object, and then instead of using the menu item on the left, we will type in the letter E, and then we will lock it to the x-axis by pressing X. And then what we'll do is type in 8.4. Look at the top left corner there. You will find 8.4 is written down. Press enter. And we have now created a new vertex and a line connecting that with the existing vertex. So what we're going to do is use this top-down view, and we're going to create the layout of the building. And we're going to extrude along the y-axis. 10.1 meters. Okay, and then we're going to extrude again. And we're going to extrude along the x-axis. And it's going to be minus 6.57 meters. Now, here's the thing about extrusions. You have not committed to an extrusion until you've hit enter. So if I made a mistake here and I actually want to go in the positive direction, you can press the minus button again. And now you'll find your vertex behind this transform here. You can press the letter Y, and now you're extruding up and down the y-axis. So we'll go back to X, and here we are. So we've got two more extrusions. So we'll extrude along the y-axis, and we will extrude minus 1.8 meters. This is the great thing about Blender. You can do things precisely. And this is something which other tutorials, which I found on the internet, don't get into quite so soon. So final extrusion, we'll do E, and we want to go along the x-axis. We want to go to this green bar here. Now you can either subtract 8.4 meters from 6.57 meters, and you'll probably find that mental arithmetic a bit taxing. There's a better way for untaxed heads. I've had this enabled all the time and it didn't really matter, but this is called the snapping mode. So at the moment, snapping mode, when it's like this, is not enabled, and you've got free movement in all directions. We want to enable snapping mode, and we want to snap to the vertex. You can see there's all sorts of other different snapping modes, and we will introduce those as the tutorial goes on. So select vertex, and then we want to extrude. And what you'll find is that if you move it across an existing vertex, it snaps to it. Very nice. So we'll constrain it along the x-axis. And of course, there are no vertices along the x-axis. So you might think that's not very useful. Well, actually it is, because you can snap to vertices which are perpendicular to the path, like this one here. And now that we've got that snapped, we can left click, and now it's extruded. The final leg, we're not going to do an extrusion, we're going to do something else. select that, select that. And then we will right click, and then we can do a new edge face from vertices. So you can also use the shortcut F. So I'll just select this, and now I've got the new edge. I'll do Control Z, and we can just press the letter F. Now that is extruded, and we've got the outline of the top part of our floor. Press Tab, back into object mode. We're going to create the lower part of the floor now. So we're going to do Shift A, we're going to do a mesh, we're going to do a plane. So we're going to do things a little bit different. So the transforms in the right hand corner here, you can adjust the dimensions for the plane you've just created. So we are going to make this 6.7 meters along the x-axis, and then we're going to make this 7.7 meters along the y-axis. So now we are going to grab that plane, and we want this top right corner here to be aligned with the corner there. So what we're going to do is grab, and then we're going to move it to that corner, and you'll see that the top left corner has snapped to that bit, and the top right corner snapped to that corner, and the top right corner snapped to that one. And it can be a bit of a fiddle to do this. This is another feature which is not explained in other tutorials. What I'm going to do is show you how to grab things in a way which gives you control back as to where you want to grab things. So if you press G and then immediately press B, you can select whichever vertex you want to grab. So I want to grab the top right corner like this, and then I can move it along. And then when we get to here, now we are aligned. So we can just click on Enter, and here we are. Let's go back to here, and we have got edges here. So we can select vertices. We've got select mode with vertices. We can use edges here, and we can use faces. Now you can select the edge mode, and you can select an edge. You can do shift select and shift select and shift select like so. And it can get very boring for quite complex faces. So a faster way to do it is to do, let's just select nothing, do Alt, and then select the first face. And then everything else, which is in a ring, gets selected. There is more nuance to discuss about that later on, but we've got all the lines selected. So now we press F. And then what we're going to do to create the outside wall, which is 10 centimeters thick, is that we're going to inset the wall. So we press I, and then we will type in 0.1, so 10 centimeters. Now, you should get a mitered edge like this. But here you can see we do not have a mitered edge. So something has gone wrong. And then we're going to go into vertex mode, and we're going to see what is going on here. If I select this vertex and then grab it, you'll see what the problem is. There are two vertices on top of each other. So I did a double extrusion. I extruded to a value of 0 meters, and then we've got this. So what we are going to do is we are going to select all of the vertices. So we can press A, and that selects every vertex in the object. And then we're going to merge vertices. So we press the letter M, and we can merge all of them at the center of the object. We don't want that. We want to do it by distance. And you can see the merge distance in the bottom left corner, 0.0001 meters. That is basically 1/10 of a millimeter. So anything which is within 1/10 of a millimeter of each other will be merged. So now, when I select this and then grab it, it's now merged. So let's escape out of that. Let's select all of the edges one more time, like so. And then we will inset. So letter I, 0.1, enter. Now we've got a nice mitered edge there. So now what we're going to do is create the inner wall. So we're going to inset 7 centimeters, 0.07. And then we're going to inset one more time. I, 0.1. Now we have got everything there. So we've got an inner wall and an outer wall and then a gap. So what we're going to do is we're going to select these edges here. We can't do Alt click here because it selects the wrong bounding edges. So we have to do this the slow and painful way, unfortunately. And then we will delete those edges. So we press delete. And then we want to delete only edges and faces. So press delete there. So now we have deleted that the faces for that gap. We want to delete this inner face. So select face mode. Oh, and when it comes to vertex, edge, and face mode, you can use the keyboard 1, keyboard 2, keyboard 3, but not the number pad 1, 2, and 3. So we'll select delete, and we only want to delete faces there. So now what we're going to do is tab out, and then we are going to go to the lower object, and we're going to do the same exercise again. So we're going to go to edit mode, and we're going to do the insetting functions. And you can see I've typed in 0.1 meters and we've got something very weird going on. I'm going to press escape. I'm going to press tab to go back into object mode. Why does that happen? It happens because our scale is not a value of 1. So what we need to do is apply the scale to the current dimensions. So to do that, you type in Control A, and you can apply scale. And now this is now full scale as opposed to being 33 times scale. Let's go back into edit mode, and we will press I 0.1, nice and easy, I 0.07, then I 0.1. That is everything selected. So now I'm going to select these edges and I'm going to delete that gap here. So now we've got inner and outer walls for the upper and lower part of the property. Now we need to do some adjustments here. This outer wall here does not exist. So what we need to do is delete this bit here and delete this bit here where they are facing each other. So this one here, we will select edge mode. We'll delete that. We want to delete only edges and faces. And then with this one, we don't want to delete this bit here. So we're going to tab out of this, select the upper floor object, select that face, select that face. What we're going to do is subdivide. So right click and subdivide. Now we can select this edge and this edge up here and delete those. And then with this one, we can select that edge, grab it, and then bring it down along the y-axis so we can lock it on the y-axis. We can snap it to the outer wall here. Then what we can do is go up here, tidy this up, select the vertex mode, and then we want to grab this, and then we want to grab it along the x-axis. And now that is perfectly perpendicular. We'll tab out, select this one, tab in, do a bit of tidying up here. So grab that, we want to go along the x-axis. And then we'll go into edge select mode. So we'll select that one, then we'll grab, and then B, and we can select this vertex here, move along the x-axis, move it to there. And then we can go back into vertex mode, select this vertex, grab it along the x-axis. In fact, it's already snapped to that, so that's fine. So now we've got some nicely generated inner and outer walls for the foundations. So we're going to press Tab, and we want to lower it 68 centimeters. Grab Z. So when it's a white outline, then it means it's been grabbed. So select the Z axis and then 0.68. So now technically we've now got a 3D view. So now what we're going to do is create some inner walls. So we're going to go and view from the top down, and we're going to tab into the edit mode here, and we're going to select these edges here. So this inner edge and this inner edge, and we're going to subdivide. So right click, subdivide, and we're going to create 3 subdivisions. So in the bottom left corner, we want to increase that to 3, like so. And then it doesn't look so obvious now, but when you put it back into vertex mode, you can see 3 individual vertices on each side. So we're going to select that and that. We're going to create an edge between them. Okay, so now we've selected those, created those edges. We're going to select all of them, and we're going to extrude, pressing E, and then we will extrude on the y-axis 0.1 centimeters. And just to make this symmetric, we're going to select the faces, all of them, like so. And we're going to just grab it and go 5 centimeters back. So 0.05 minus, like so. Okay, so now we are going to do the same with this. In fact, we'll tab out of this, select this, tab in. We want to select that vertex there. We want to extrude it along the y-axis. And we want to extrude it down to here, like so. We'll go into edge mode, select the edge, extrude, and then we want to extrude along the x-axis minus 0.1, like so. Okay, so now let's go and select this edge, and we want to subdivide this twice. And then we'll go back into vertex mode, we'll select these 2 vertices, and we will extrude along the y-axis down to there. Select this face here, delete the face. So delete only faces. And then we will extrude these edges 10 centimeters. So extrude X 0.1, enter. And we'll select those faces and then drag it back. So grab X minus 0.05. So now we've got some reasonable symmetry. So now we have got 2D outline of the foundation walls. We want to make these 3D. So let's extrude this 99 centimeters. So we will press the letter A to select all of the vertices. And then we want to extrude along the Z axis. So we want to type in 0.99. That is extruded 99 centimeters down. And then press tab. And then we will select the bottom one. Then go tab into edit mode. Press A to select everything. And then we want to extrude 36 centimeters down, like so. So I have got some nuance to apply to this upper foundation. Now this chamber here is the only deep chamber that we've got. We've also got these chambers here, but they are not as deep. They are shallower. They're about 47 centimeters higher at the bottom. So at this point, I was wanting to introduce the concept of Boolean modifiers. And what a Boolean modifier is that you add a new object, such as a cube, like this, and then you select your object to be modified. You add a modifier, you select Boolean, and then you select the object which is going to modify it. And what this is supposed to do is exclude bits of the object that intersect with the cube, which I added. And as you can see, it doesn't work. So we are back to plan A. And we're going to do this the messy way. So let's go into edit mode. And what we're going to do is add some subdivisions to these lines. So we're going to select the edge mode here, and the outer wall, we're going to add 2 subdivisions. Now we'll also do it with this one. So right click, subdivide, and then add 2 subdivisions. So now what we're going to do now is select these vertices. We're going to grab this and then move it along the x-axis, so it's parallel here. So then we're going to also do this, grab x, grab x. We're also going to just make these parallel for the time being. So grab that one, x, snap it to this one, grab this one, x, snap it to this one. Now this side of things is going to be relatively straightforward to deal with, but this other side is a bit more fiddly. So what we're going to do is we are going to select these 2 lines here. We're going to make 2 subdivisions, like so. And then we'll go into vertex mode. We'll select this line here, and we are going to add 1 subdivision. And then with this line here, we're going to add 1 more subdivision. So then we'll go back into vertex mode. This will drag until it's parallel with this inner vertex there. This vertex, grab it along the x-axis until it's parallel with this. We'll join these 2 vertices together. Then we will do the same on this. Grab that along the x-axis to that vertex. Grab this along the x-axis till it's parallel with this one. We'll join those. And now what we are going to do is lift all of this. So we're going to go along the y-axis, add the X-ray mode so we can see through our walls, and then we're going to select all of this here. Then we're going to just check that we've grabbed the right things. Looks like we have. So now we grab it along the z-axis, 0.47. Okay, so now we've got some movement to do. So we'll grab that, G, X, move it till it's parallel here. There's some detail we'll deal with this, a little bit of fiddle. G, X, move it so it's parallel here. Okay, so next we are going to go over to here. And we're going to G, X, till they are parallel, like so. Okay, now we have got some more detail to look at. Let's take it out of X-ray mode so we can see things a little bit easier. So what we need to do is select this face here. So you can see it's unbounded here. And what we want to do, we have forgotten to add a subdivision here. So we'll select this item here, and we'll do 2 subdivisions. Okay. So grab that z-axis till it's parallel with that. Grab that x-axis along there, and then grab this z-axis till it's parallel with this, and then grab one more time, go along the x-axis till it's parallel like so. We want to select these two, join them, press F, select these two, join them, press F. Okay, so this is looking nice and neat. So let's go on to this side here. So one thing I've forgotten to do, we'll join these, press F, join those, press F. Then we've got this face here. We need to select this face and delete it. And we just want to delete the face. And then we want to start making things up one more time. So we need to do a little bit of attention on these edges here. So we can see this edge needs to be subdivided. And we will grab this vertex along the z-axis, join it with this one. And then same again with this edge up here. We want to subdivide it, go to vertices, grab Z. Now we need to join all the vertices together. So we'll select all the vertices, merge them by distance. Okay, we're nearly there. So now we need to select this vertex. We'll put it into X-ray mode. Select this edge here and that edge, and we'll press F. And then we'll take it out of vertex mode. I think that's looking pretty good. Let's just look at it all the way around here. All right. We have got a foundation wall. So one other detail which we need to deal with is we need to take the inner foundation wall and we need to raise it by 7 centimeters. So the upper and lower parts of the inner and outer foundation walls have got different heights. So we are just going to select all of the inner foundation wall. We'll just grab that Z 0.07, and then we'll do it the same down here. So we'll tab out, select this object, tab in, and then select all of these faces here. And we will grab that Z-axis 0.07. Okay, so we now have a foundation. And that, we have learned a lot of things here. I've seen there's a little detail there, which I'm going to address. But generally speaking, we are looking pretty good now. Well, we've definitely learned quite a few new things, and hopefully you've gained a lot of confidence with using Blender to make your first 3D shape. And in part 3 of this video, we are going to be making a floor, and we're also going to be making the walls of the house, the outside timber framed walls of the house. So in the meantime, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you again very soon.